Hey guys, we're using Poshmark and you should too. Do you have things that you don't wear anymore? Poshmark is seriously the easiest way to make room in your closet, make some cash, and also snag a bargain. It's the coolest reseller with the best brands like Lululemon, Nike, Reformation, and Gucci for up to 70% off. DJ Khaled has a closet and Serena Williams. Download the app today. Enter Podcast 10 when you sign up for $10 off your first purchase on Poshmark.
Headlines and hot takes, they have their place. But at our podcast, ESPN Daily, we don't just skim the surface of sports. Dude, I mean, this clearly transcends blood feuds, rivalries, sports. This is something far, far deeper than that. I'm your host, Pablo Torre, and every day, we try to dive into the stories behind the athletes.
The picture of him in the dugout afterwards just looked like a guy who'd had his heart ripped out.
Listen to ESPN Daily wherever you get your podcasts.
Thank you for calling 423-GET-FAME. That's 423-GET-FAME. I would tell you to leave a message, but the truth is, I don't really care. I've had this hotline open for months, and not one of you jokers have what it takes to be famous like me. So leave a message if you want, but don't expect a call back. I've got way more important things to do than to waste my time on losers like Masquerita Sagrada and you all. Thank you, and have a nice day.
Hey there, folks, and welcome to Season 2, Episode 9 of the Grave Consequences podcast. Caleb Baldwin, follow me at I am Caleb B on Twitter. Joined by Greg, of course. Follow him at X Maserati. The show's Twitter account is GC_cast. As always, check out every other great show, which is a part of the Social Suplex Podcast Network. Search for the Social Suplex Podcast Network to get that conglomerate feed. We have solo feeds for the shows as well. Of course, we have a solo feed. Wednesday nights, listen to me on Eddie and Caleb's Hero Cast, reviewing hero movies in chronological order. We've recorded through 2005. 2006 is about to start up, and it's really going to take a downturn. We just recorded X3 this past week. But enough about hero movies. Let's talk about Season 2, Episode 9 of Lucha Underground, Aztec Warfare 2. And in this, the Lucha Underground Championship is being defended for the first time in Aztec Warfare.
Yeah, it's kind of a stack card. It looks like Katrina has set plans in motion to ensure Mill is going to leave with the championship. She has him entering last, and she has Phoenix entering first.
Yes.
So she's trying to stack the deck so that Mill will still come out on top. So we'll see if her plan comes to fruition.
Yeah, and for you first-time listeners out there, Aztec Warfare, the rules of Aztec Warfare, they're very similar to like a hybrid of like your run-of-the-mill wrestling match or run-of-the-mill hardcore match and the Royal Rumble itself. You start off with two men. Every 90 seconds, roughly, although some of the entrances seemed a little quicker than others. I don't know if you spotted that, but I certainly did. But every 90 seconds, a new entrant comes out. There are 20 entrants in the match, and you can be eliminated only by pinfall and submission. So 19 pinfalls or submissions, some sort of fall is going to happen. No countouts, no DQs. Pretty good stuff. Pretty interesting concept. It's been adopted by MLW, who does a thing called Battle Riot now, which MLW is kind of like picked up the scraps of Lucha Underground. If you've been keeping any tabs on them at all, Greg. Well, they signed the actor who played El Jefe, Dario Cueto, Luis Fernandez Gil, to play a similar character.
Oh, really?
Just with a different name because, again, someone else owns the Lucha Underground intellectual property. So
that's awesome.
Cesar Duran or something. And Cesar Duran is the manager for King Muertes is his name. The former Mil Muertes, the former Ricky Banderas. What was his name in TNA? Judas Macias. There we go.
Why'd you bring that up?
I know, right? I always got to bring that up, man. But hey, the thing about this is a one-match card. Pretty interesting. You have a few of those throughout the series run. Each Aztec Warfare match, multiple all-night-long matches. Someone has to run a gauntlet in the third season. So a few one-match shows on this, throughout the series. But let's start off. Let's go right to the action, because the very first thing we see, as we did with the first Aztec Warfare, is drummers in like Aztec garb, signifying war is about to start. And the working title that I suggested as an homage to Nightmare on Elm Street 2, rather, is Aztec Warfare 2, Meal's Revenge. So whether you see that on the podcast app or not, just know I did suggest it.
Yeah, I'm writing it down right now.
Thank you, Gregory. It's much appreciated. Oh, by the way, the recording date is August 18, and as of tomorrow, I will be out of quarantine. So that's awesome. All right, we can get started then. And, let's see here. Phoenix, the first thing we see, Phoenix is in the back, and Katrina shows up. Oh, pardon me. Pentagon Jr. shows up and says, like, hey, I'm coming for your title. All of a sudden, the lights go out. Katrina's there and says, like, hey, you don't know anything. You don't know anything about the darkness? Oh, and by the way, you're not in Aztec Warfare. You lost any right to that the second you put your hand on me. So Katrina, who is very quick to use Mil Muertes to hurt people, to injure people, didn't like the idea of someone putting their hand on her.
I have two thoughts from this. One, this is like Penta's version of R-Truth, where he gets confused and he's not actually in a match. Because they all got invitations to the match, so he didn't even, like, you would know what number you're entering in. This is the day of the show.
Here's the thing. Maybe he just assumed his invite got lost in the mail or something. He's definitely confused about something. And number two, the only thing I could think of when this was occurring was, those like Facebook videos where like a kid has a birthday party and no one shows up. So like the firefighters show up for his birthday party, or police officers. I just imagine Penta in the backyard with, Vampiro, dressed like his mom, like Mrs. Doubtfire, and all these police officers and like and firemen coming over to like come to his birthday party because no one came. Well, Pentagon Jr. is not quite a kid at an empty birthday party. He will, or if he is, he's going to have his revenge, and we will see. Maybe
most of those kids.
Maybe the title would be Pentagon's Revenge, but either way. Sorry, what were you going to say?
I was going to say, don't most of those kids end up growing up and getting their revenge in some way?
Oh, don't tell me you're alluding to what I think you're alluding to.
No, because I actually didn't have anything yet. I was going to assume like maybe that's Jeff Bezos' origin story.
Oh, okay.
Or Zuckerberg.
Good. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, I could see that being a Bezos origin story.
Who would go to a Zuckerberg birthday party? I wouldn't.
Oh my gosh. Zuckerberg is so lame. Even you've seen The Social Network?
No, I don't want to see it and I'll tell you why. I've heard it's a good movie and I believe it. But when it came out, I've said to myself, there's no way I'm fucking seeing a movie about Facebook.
I've heard stories that it's a hit piece on Mark Zuckerberg, but it's like, how much do you really have to embellish about how much we know how bad of a guy this guy already is? So how much sensationalizing do you really need to do,
Exactly.
Well, enough of that. Let's go to the ring. Melissa Santos introducing us to Aztec Warfare 2. And the first entrant, as we already know, is the defending and the third Lucha Underground champion, Phoenix. He is number one. By the way, before we show number two, we are shown Famous B and Brenda are inside the temple. So their first appearance here in the temple together.
Yeah, I didn't notice them at first because Caleb knows this, but I have a few things that have been going on that have been making it hard for us to schedule every week. So I was watching this while I was trying to do other things. So I did miss a few things, but I was trying to pay as much attention. I didn't notice they were in there until roughly around the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6th entrance, when I started hearing someone talking in the background. I was like, whoa, that's Famous B.
Yeah, they did have Famous B kind of pitch in here and there, and Brenda just kind of stand there and look hot every now and again.
I think he added a lot of, I wish I could think of a better word, but you know how they talk about storytelling in the matches?
Yeah.
Not like on the mic, not in a background vignette.
Sort of like, maybe not, this could be an improper gravitas.
Maybe I'm thinking just a way to interact in the ring, and he's not really in the ring, but just everything is happening in one spot. There's no takeaways. There's no cuts to another angle. There's no not to another to another segment or another vignette or another match. This is all happening real time in front of everybody, and you can just pay attention to the high spots. But there's a lot going on with Famous B. He adds stuff, the comments he talks about other people, and you start realizing eventually he's scouting.
Yeah. Absolutely. But he did keep kind of overusing one line. Like, he kept saying, that's the guy right there. But he said it about like 4 or 5 different people.
There's a lot of guys, though, in Lucha that were the guy.
Yeah.
To be fair.
Sure enough.
That Tejano, that Chavo Guerrero, they're going places, buddy.
Yeah, absolutely they are. Chavo Guerrero is going places. Probably the unemployment line when Ric Flair shows up in AEW, but
well, you're right. That could happen.
Mm-hmm. But enough about all that, because number 2 in the Temple, of course, us, the viewer watching the television show, know that this guy was already invited. So like the surprise was a little worn off for the TV viewer, or the surprise was not there rather. But the person watching in the Temple, who's not seeing these vignettes before they're seeing the matches, they were genuinely surprised. They were shocked. They were overwhelmed. They were elated when number 2 came out, and it was Rey Mysterio Jr. They went wild.
Yeah, it's weird because it's a new wrestler, unheard of, basically. Scrappy young kid. We'll see if he goes anywhere. It's a very odd name. He seems to be copying off of the other luchadors. So we'll see.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that Ray Jr. kid. But hey, before the match started, like, there was legitimately like 2 minutes of Ray walking around the ring and just eating up the cheers of the people, like the true worker that he is, man.
He's got to learn something from the Wolfpack and Hogan. Some of that's going to rub off.
Oh yeah, for sure. But man, the match starts and we get a solid back and forth between Phoenix and Ray. A lot of give and take from both. No one really getting the advantage. When number 3 comes out, and it is the former Gift of the Gods champion, King Cuerno. And now King Cuerno comes in. He pretty much runs over the other competition. And he even hits the arrow from hell on Phoenix when Argenis comes out and he draws number 4. Argenis didn't have a lot to do here other than pretty much get beat up. And Argenis is actually the first eliminated here in this match by Rey Mysterio with a frog splash that got a loud Eddie chant from the crowd. So a little bit of homage to Eddie Guerrero.
I mean, it'd be nice if frog splashes ended matches more often, frankly.
I agree.
Because I know that everyone does it as a ode to Eddie, and that's nice. But I think it would mean more if it won.
Well, that's the thing. Like, you're talking to a guy, like, I grew up as a kid watching Rob Van Dam in WWE win matches with the frog splash. So it's like, I respect the frog splash as a finisher,
Yeah, I mean, and I'm a guy that, even though I'm very behind, and I even had to ask James on, and a few other people in the Stardom group, I had to ask, can you guys recommend some matches? Because I'm so far behind, because I don't have time to watch as much as I would like. Yeah. But even then, like, I'm used to matches ending in German suplexes or tiger suplexes, or even sometimes in like Puro wrestling, sometimes a stiff clothesline.
Well,
or a brainbuster.
Some decisions might come from suplexes in this match, but we'll see.
Yeah, it's deserved. But I'm just saying, like, to go back to the original point, I think people need to start. It's akin to that indie-rific type of wrestling that me and you both will criticize, where it's cool you did a high spot, but what did it mean? And we're not just regurgitating things that people say to be contrarians, but the frog splash, like what's the point? Like I would compare it to when I watched AAA, and this is very recently, like the last 6 months to a year. I started watching some of this AAA matches, and the luchador wrestling is way different than the luchador wrestling they'll show on American shows, besides Lucha Underground. But like anytime someone's doing like a luchador type spot, it's almost in a bubble. Like they're like, I'm going to do this luchador spot here, and it has no point. Like they both get up from it. It's not, doesn't add to the story. And I'm not saying I'm not a stickler, like you have to wrestle and every move has to have meaning, but when it's always this bubble move, I'm gonna I'm gonna do a suicide dive. It means nothing.
Yeah, no, you're right, man. But it was nice to see the frog splash get an elimination for sure.
Exactly.
Your number 5 here in Aztec Warfare was Johnny Mundo, and here's a little fun fact. Because, Greg, I know you weren't watching at the time, but Johnny Mundo actually once beat Rey Mysterio for the Intercontinental Championship around 2009. So to see those two in the ring together, really cool. Mundo was wearing light colors tonight, which reminded me of his M&M days. Pardon me, if you remember that stable.
Was that WWE?
Yeah, it was him and Joey Mercury with Melina.
I think that was around the years I stopped watching.
Okay, fair enough.
I stopped watching when Benoit won the title.
Oh yeah, you've told me that.
Yep.
Another fun fact, actually, since we talked about Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio and Johnny Mundo, Eminem actually won their first had their first tag title reign. They won their first tag titles by beating Eddie Guerrero and Rey Mysterio.
Wow, that's a pretty big feat.
Yeah, they did it like the week after WrestleMania 21. Number 6 is Joey Ryan, and Joey Ryan comes out with a set of handcuffs, and oh boy, the imagery. But he decides to be a thinking man, and he figures it's pinfall or submission. It's got to happen in the ring. How am I going to get pinned or submitted in the ring when I can't go in there? Handcuffs himself to the guardrail.
It's always interesting to see that, and he's not the first person to do this spot. It's been done before.
Yeah,
but it does lead to him just getting beat up outside the whole time.
Yeah, this sort of spot happens in Royal Rumbles all the time. Yeah.
It's funny. I mean, it adds that. The main takeaway, though, I had rewatching this, with everything we know about Joey Ryan, I think there's very few people that genuinely think Joey Ryan's innocent. Even for people that genuinely believe strongly that you're innocent until proven guilty. I do think there is claims that we know where there's smoke, there's fire. I just don't like to assume there's a fire until you know.
Yeah.
But I think we've all seen, and I don't want to speak for you, but I think both of us believe that he is guilty of some of the things he did or is accused of. I told you my reasoning was his born again Christian stuff. Yeah. Shortly after, just because he was posting stuff about forgiveness and I felt like whoever your legal team is terrible, because I wouldn't post that. But that is a kind of a pretty like when it's not bad to become born again Christian if you genuinely want to repent, but when you're promoting it so much on Twitter, it's a red flag for me. That's a red flag. It's like, okay, now there's and there was other things too, but I was like, there's definitely some fire here. But sorry, go ahead.
I'm sorry, but the thing with Joey Ryan is it seems like he is looking for forgiveness without actually offering contrition, which is even worse than just being like, yeah, whatever, or just, ignoring anything. But yeah, I don't know.
It's out of the blue. I mean, he definitely, if you imagine, like, it's a fall, like, you lose everything, right? And issues, like, he lost everything. And I think, if you're an innocent man, that would break you, and you could end up being kind of like, broken. Like, if you've ever had something terrible happen, it can affect you.
Yeah.
But there's very little, I'm going to say, I don't want to say accountability, but it seems like it just comes out of nowhere. And this is me not knowing the man, and I'm not trying to, be holier than thou. But my main point is, if I can get back to my main point, it's very weird seeing him come out and act the character he is in Lucha Underground.
Yeah.
It's
hard to with, like, what we know about Joey Ryan, it's one of those things of, like, oh man, like, legalized sleaze and all this and that. It's like, this guy's, like, legitimately a sleaze bag. Or, like, here's an opposite situation of Sexy Star, who's promoting, like, bravery and everything, who ended her wrestling career basically because she committed one of the most cowardly acts a wrestler ever could inside the ring.
Because it's one thing for her to go into business for yourself. That's one thing, but she injured someone on purpose.
Exactly.
Like, if she had just made that Rosemary tap out, and just changed the outcome of the match, that'd be shitty. But she broke Rosemary's arm.
Yeah.
And I think you said before, and we can cut this out if you're not okay with me saying it, but maybe it wasn't you, but, like, a lot of wrestlers aren't good people.
Yeah.
It's a carny business. And I know a lot of that's changed, like AEW is trying to be very progressive, but it did evolve from a carny business. And, you look into things that, like, Ringling Brothers did with animal abuse, like, carny is a bad word. Like, there were some nefarious things that carnivals did, and wrestling evolved from that. And it, as bad as it was, like, in the 80s, probably, like, it was probably way worse in the 70s and the 60s.
Mm-hmm.
But Joey Ryan's character is just, it's hard to watch. And I don't mean like, oh, we're shaking and we're trembling or anything. It's just, it's very, like, it's almost on the nose.
It's cringe.
Yeah, it's like, oof, it's not even that, I guess it didn't age well, is what I'm trying to say. Like, it's just very, he's, all the things he's accused of is basically what his character is.
Yeah. So basically, fuck Joey Ryan. And King Cuerno seems to agree because he gives Joey Ryan a thrust kick, but hey, Joey Ryan can't be brought to the ring right now. It's whatever. Number 7 is the inaugural Lucha Underground champion and the winner of the inaugural Aztec Warfare, Prince Puma. And at some point, Phoenix dives out onto the field, and Stryker, that earns us a Jimi Hendrix reference. Excuse me while I kiss the sky from Matt Stryker. So it's one of the few unrelated references Stryker's made that I'm like, I don't hate that.
And that's why I don't like. It's why I don't hate Stryker.
Yeah.
When I did before from his stuff he did at NXT, he's trying. He's doing his best.
Yeah.
And he genuinely loves it. And he's genuinely putting the effort in. I would not be against him ever announcing another show. I would definitely, if it's New Japan, I'd be okay with him announcing. Like, I like him as an announcer.
Well, he does color or play-by-play for Impact now.
Yes, and I'm sure he's good.
Yeah, he's fine. He's got to carry D'Lo, who's, like, you can tell D'Lo's never done it before, but that's whatever. He can get better. Number 8 is Jack Evans, and by the way, King Cuerno gets eliminated by an armbar from Rey Mysterio.
That was weak.
Yeah, and what's even more weak, and it's one of those things, this seemed a little more chaotic than the first Aztec Warfare, or maybe they had a new guy, on production or something, because, like, the camera could not keep up, and at times was focusing on the wrong thing, it would seem.
Well, we've seen it's not easy to time all this. Like, it was one of the AEW pay-per-views when they ran out of time with the Bucks versus Cody, and they actually ran out of time twice, actually.
Okay, so the original All-In pay-per-view, they got that off the air with like 30 seconds left or something.
It was the Bucks and Kota Ibushi versus Bandito, Rey Mysterio.
Yep. Mm-hmm. And someone.
I want to say it was Phoenix.
Could have been.
And then the second one was Bucks
Fighter Fest. Yeah,
it was Bucks versus Cody and Dustin, and they're pros. It's hard to time this, and this was getting to your point. They were barely focusing on that tap out.
Yeah,
someone else was coming out.
Mm-hmm. At one point, Jack Evans just getting dominated by the Technicos that were in the ring. You know, Phoenix and Mysterio, and there was a third guy in there, but I'm blanking right now.
It was everybody.
Yeah, and Johnny eventually pulls Jack out before he can get pinned, and Jack's like, why did you kick me? And Johnny's like, well, I had to make him think I was on their side, blah, blah, blah. And number 9, to even the odds here, make it 3-on-3 in the ring, is Taya, who's got a loose association with Johnny at the moment. I hope that works out for them.
Me too. I mean, I'm surprised that after what happened with the previous match where he threw her in the cage.
Yeah.
She's very forgiving. It's a very toxic relationship, apparently.
Yeah, it's like a Joker and Harley Quinn situation.
I think that's pretty accurate. Yeah.
Let's see here. Oh man. Oh, when Taya was coming out, Vampiro was putting her over, and knowing what Vampiro does to her in AAA, it makes that all the more funnier.
He's such a snake.
Absolutely, dude. He's a real Micah Bell. I've been playing a lot of Red Dead 2, so those of you that have played that get that reference and everything. Number 10. Oh, by the way, Puma eventually gets sent out to the floor by, I think, Mundo, and he lands on his knee wrong, and he hurts a paw, dude.
He got hurt?
Yeah, well, not injured, but maybe a stinger or whatever, you know?
Ouch.
Yeah.
I missed that.
Number 10 is Cage, and you'd think this would spell bad news for Johnny Mundo and friends, which at this point is Mundo, Taya, and Jack Evans. Johnny Mundo at some point, though, throws Cage through Katrina's window. Oh, man. Number 11, though, Masquerita Sagrada, and Matt Stryker immediately has to get the midget puns off with call him a paragraph because he's too short to be an essay.
Yeah.
It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. Oh, man. Oh, by the way, why I love Brian Cage, he climbs out of the window unaffected. This nearly killed Alberto Del Rio a season prior.
Don't sell shit. Go in the business for yourself. That's how to get ahead.
Yeah, well, that's why they call him Mr. Get My Shit In. Cage hits Weapon X on the floor, throws Mundo into the ring, and Cage basically gives the pin to Prince Puma. Prince Puma eliminates Johnny Mundo for the second year in a row. So all that talk last week in the back amounted to nothing for Johnny Mundo. He's back where he was before. Let's see here. Number 12 is Marty the Moth. And when Marty comes in and he takes his shirt off, he kind of gyrates a little like Rick Rude would do. But it's like, you're not Rick Rude. You're a little bit bulkier, pal.
Yeah, he knows how to get the cheap heat.
Yeah, for sure.
He learned what he needed to in WWE.
For sure, man. Number 13 is from the shit pipes. It's Drago. Oh, by the way, Marty the Moth, and forgive me, I can't remember exactly how it happened, but Rey Mysterio gets the better of Marty the Moth, and Rey pins him, and Masquerita joins in on the elimination. So
see, I missed that whole segment because that's the one elimination I think I missed.
Yeah, that's fine. Number 14 is the Mac, and oh, by the way, Cage and the Mac are fighting in the ring at one point, and what gets ignored in the background is something that should have been the focus, and that's Drago throwing Jack Evans down the steps, dude.
This is another thing where they didn't, and it's probably impossible to time all these spots, but yeah, and the crowd were genuinely like
they
gasping.
were more concerned. Like you could tell, like it's like when Jerry Lawler had his heart attack and there was a tag match going on. You could see when you're watching, the crowd wasn't looking at the ring. They were looking at, oh my God, is the king dead? Similarly, they're like, oh my God, Jack Evans just got thrown down steps. What's going on?
Because we've seen people fall down the stairs, but usually it's a very controlled roll.
Yeah.
You could see that Jack was very much like just it was a tumble. Like
Yeah.
he went a few steps before he went quite a few steps before rolling completely over.
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And Jack Evans had to be a little extra sore that next morning when he woke up. And it was all for nothing because it was just in the background.
Which is a shame, but this is a moment where Vamp gave some of the best advice because Matt Stryker asked him, like, so what's the best strategy for a match like this? And Vamp says, drink Jaeger, close your eyes, and start swigging.
Yeah.
And if you ever drank Jaeger, you know that's true. It'll make you a fighter, even if you're not.
Oh, man. Number 15, everyone loves him, of course, Chavo Guerrero Jr. And I wrote down Chavo Guerrero puts on, and I put because Vampiro corrected Matt Stryker. When Matt Stryker said the camel clutch, but Vamp's like, no, this was a move invented by his grandfather, Gory, and it's called the caballo, which means horse, by the way. So the caballo on Masquerita, and Masquerita taps out. Masquerita, not going to be Lucha Underground champion. He had a small chance, but I was hopeful.
Chavo going for that super cheap heat.
Yes, yeah. Put the submission on the midget for sure, or the mini. Pardon me. Damn it, I've said midget twice on this show.
You're already canceled, so just keep going.
Yeah, I'm basically dead. After that, we see Johnny and Taya teaming up on Cage. Johnny's already been eliminated, by the way. And Johnny pulls out a cinder block and hits Cage with it in the head. This time Cage is knocked out, and Taya pins and eliminates Cage. Number 16, there was a weird amount of focus for some reason on PJ Black, of all people.
Yeah, why?
It was weird. Right? Taya gets eliminated by Rey Fenix. Oh,
I think it was a fisherman suplex too.
That sounds right. Yes, sir. PJ Black and Jack Evans are attacking Drago on the bleachers when number 17 comes out, and it is his buddy Aerostar making his official return to the temple for the first time since last season. PJ Black hits a brainbuster on Drago, and Aerostar hits a top rope Canadian Destroyer on Jack Evans, and that leads to a simultaneous elimination of the A side of the feud. It's kind of weird, man.
It was very weird, but I think looking back at it, PJ Black needed a win.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, they didn't focus on it enough. They didn't really even... Because he shared the spotlight with Aerostar.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's not like if you were a wrestler and you're like, okay, I'm going to lose all these matches and I get my payoff, right? Yeah, you get it in Aztec Warfare. It's kind of he got it, but like, who's talking about it?
Well,
and it was a good brainbuster too.
Here's the thing, that can work out because like we've seen clear, like they've built up, they've further enhanced the Cage and Johnny feud throughout Aztec Warfare. If they put more focus on it, I know it's a lower card feud, but like if they had isolated PJ Black pinning Drago, that would do a little bit more for his steam, for his push,
Yeah, this was more impressive for Aerostar because he pinned Jack Evans with a fucking Mexican Destroyer.
Yes.
From the top rope. And he was, like you said, it was his grand return. So it's just, you can't help but focus on it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see here. Number 18, making his debut in the temple. The artist known as Ray Horace. We have got Dragon Azteca Jr., and Dragon Azteca shows up. He's all over the field, even a dive over the corner of the turnbuckle, over the turnbuckle to the Mac, which we've seen Angelico do that before. It's still absolutely insane.
It's crazy. And the unfortunate thing about Dragon Azteca Jr. is he kind of is a little bit more of what we've already got with Phoenix and Puma.
Yeah.
So for me, and this will be my second reviewing, and I've already admitted to being wrong about several things from the first season. We'll see if I change my tune. But like when I originally watched this, I didn't care much for Dragon Azteca Jr. Not because he was bad, but just because I've already had it from other wrestlers, what he provides. And we're going to say the same about another wrestler that shows up.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's like if someone gives you, like, I like vanilla ice cream. If someone gives you a bowl of vanilla ice cream and then another bowl of vanilla ice cream, and then they're like, hey, here's vanilla ice cream. It's like, okay, I like it, but it's like I've already had 2 bowls of it, you know?
And that's not, and you're right, it's a good analogy. It's nothing that he's not that he's bad or not as good as the other two. It's just that we're attached to Phoenix and Puma.
Yeah.
And the storyline he comes from, Dragon Azteca Jr., sucks.
It really does, man. It really does. And by the way, because we're not going to see her in this episode either, where's Black Lotus at? Because we haven't seen her I think maybe twice this season.
I think we saw her once last season, or not last season, last episode, where Dario was saying we're going back.
Yeah.
But
I saw her in the season premiere, and I think we saw her in that episode, and I think that's it.
I think they realized that she was going nowhere.
Yeah.
Because she hasn't even had a match yet.
Oh, she's going to come back. I know, because I know she at least has 1 match in the temple.
She does. She does come back. I'm just saying, like, she's.
But yeah. Oh man, number 19 is Tejano, and the temple still loves him, even if you don't, Greg. Tejano hits a power bomb on PJ Black, and PJ Black is eliminated. Joey Ryan, by the way, because the camera cuts to him, Joey Ryan's still handcuffed to the guardrail. Number 20, Mil Muertes comes out with Katrina, and as Mil is entering, Pentagon kind of sneaks through the crowd from a corner, and he takes out the former Lucha Underground champion, Mil Muertes, with the chair, just brutalizes the crap out of him. And Rey Mysterio frog splashes Mil Muertes, and Mil Muertes is gone. So Katrina's plan has just been completely foiled.
And I think was it just Ray, or did Puma also do a move?
I think Puma added pressure to the pin. Yeah.
Yeah, everything Katrina set in motion is completely undone here.
Yes.
Because of Penta.
Her reaction, now she's a heel. So like her reaction in the next episode, it makes her a little bit more unlikable because some things happen, and I will explain when we get there, but either way. So Mil Muertes is eliminated, and for some reason, and Stryker's like, what's going on? This has to be a production error because the clock's still going off, the drums are going, and we see who else, but for the first time in the temple this season, the owner and proprietor of Lucha Underground, El Jefe Dario Cueto, and the temple going insane, man.
Yeah, they missed Dario, and I even popped a little bit. It was great seeing him come back. He's a great character.
Yeah.
So this was really, and they're paying it off, like what happened from the end of the season. Like, and it's still kind of unclear why he had to leave, but just accept it. You have to.
Yeah.
But it was a good, and he waited till Aztec Warfare.
Yeah. Yeah. And Dario says, I still own the building. I'm still the proprietor. That means I'm in charge. And we have a 21st entrant. And who is that? But my brother, the monster, Matanza Cueto. And we get a full body shot of him for, I believe, the first, maybe the second time in series history. He is wearing a face mask to cover his mouth so he doesn't bite people, presumably, because, we've seen him murder on the show before. He is wearing a navy-ish blue jumpsuit, like almost like
green,
like he broke out of jail or he was a janitor or something.
Mm-hmm.
And
don't forget, it's covered in blood in the front.
Yes. Sorry, I buried the lead there. You could say Matanza is a janitor because he is here to clean up the competition. And as Matanza comes to the ring, all of the remaining entrants, besides Joey Ryan, of course, who's on the outside, they all kind of gather together. And Matanza comes in, and they gang up on him. They charge him, and Matanza does the great giant spot of scattering everyone. Personally, and I know it's simple and I know it's cliche at this point, but I love that spot.
Yeah, I mean, they're definitely going for the monster vibe. I think it would work a little bit better if he were taller.
Yeah.
And this is coming from a short guy, but
Yeah.
if you know who it is, they're not.
We've said who it is. It's Jeff Cobb, and we can say that without it being a spoiler, because they never like tease who's under the mask. It's just accepted. Hey, this is Matanza Cueto. Jeff Cobb is Matanza.
And if you were to if like no one told you and you had to figure out who it was, how long would it take before you guessed it was Jeff Cobb?
I can't honestly say, because I read the spoilers before this episode came out. So they're like, hey, it's Matanza, which is Jeff Cobb. And I'm like, yeah, I can kind of see it.
I think he does a good job, though, given that we both don't like the character.
Yeah.
He did he's not Jeff Cobb, like how Jeff Cobb wrestles. He's definitely a psycho killer.
Well, he is a psycho killer who's clearly inspired by Jeff Cobb.
Well, he moveset. I mean, because he's a monster, he's going to do slams and stuff.
Yeah. Well,
I mean, you'll see the finisher. You'll be like, oh, someone else I know does that finisher.
Oh, man. Matanza comes in, and again, he scatters everyone. And who's the first to charge him? And by the way, this is really stupid. They get scattered, and they're like, hey, let's just go at him one-on-one like they're henchmen.
Mm-hmm.
This is a really bad idea. Phoenix charges him first, gets what you Jeff Cobb fans know as the Tour of the Islands, but will later be called the Wrath of the Gods. Phoenix takes that, and Phoenix is eliminated. So we are guaranteed to crown the 4th ever Lucha Underground champion. And some of you...
Which is good, because it adds uncertainty. You know it's not going to be Phoenix. It's going to be someone new. So there's like 8 people left, I think.
Something like that, yeah. The Mac comes in. He stuns Matanza, but Matanza doesn't leave his feet. Matanza hits a big German suplex on the Mac, and the Mac is eliminated. Aerostar then charges, but gets chopped down. German suplex. He's eliminated.
And these are awesome Germans, too. These are great looking Germans.
They are like very powerful German suplexes for sure. Tejano comes in with the bull rope, but Matanza overcomes him. We get a power bomb.
Well, this one was stupid, because Tejano jumps up like a luchador.
Yeah.
And basically jumps onto his shoulders for a power. Like I didn't remember this spot, and I watched it the other day, to record so I could review it. And I remember thinking, that's the most obvious I'm going to help you do a move ever.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like how often does Tejano jump onto people's shoulders?
Well, that's one of those things. It's like, going to the corner to do 10 punches to the Undertaker. It's like, why would you bother?
I mean, even then, like Tejano's not a high flyer. Why would he ever, like, this would be kind of like, let's say I jump onto Kenny's shoulders, like I'm going to do a Toxic Rana or, Toxic. Yeah. Is it Toxic Rana? Poison Rana. Is he, why would I do that? He's going to do a One-Wing Angel.
Joey Ryan actually does the Toxic Rana. That's a joke, sir.
Canceled.
Yep, sure enough. Let's see here. Tejano just got eliminated. Chavo is hiding because Chavo thinks I'm gonna go in. Then he hides. And at this point, Matanza notices Joey Ryan, and Joey Ryan's like, oh crap, because he can't move at this point. He's handcuffed. But Matanza bends steel. If it wasn't clear now that Matanza is like a slasher villain, it should be clear now. Matanza bends steel, gets Joey into the ring, multiple bridging suplexes, and Joey Ryan is eliminated.
Yeah, it wasn't such a great... It turns out he wasn't playing 4D chess. He was still playing checkers all along.
Yes, exactly. At this point, we've got 4 guys in Matanza left. It's Chavo Guerrero, Rey Mysterio, Dragon Azteca Jr., and I believe Prince Puma. Yes, Prince Puma. And Chavo and Ray kind of both start to direct traffic when Chavo just decides, like an idiot, I'm going to attack everyone else and just feed someone to Matanza. It's like, at some point that's going to be you, right?
He doesn't.
He's stupid. He's got hubris. He thinks like, oh yeah, I can beg. Oh, by the way, Dragon Azteca Jr. comes in. He evades for as long as he can, strikes where he can. It's not enough to bring Matanza down, and he eventually eats a choke slam, and Dragon Azteca Jr. is eliminated.
And it was like a Uranagi choke slam. Like it probably sucked to take.
Yeah, I can imagine. Chavo is on the outside, and he tries to beg Dario Cueto, and I think Dario humors him to his face. And as Chavo goes into the ring, Dario motions to his brother with the throat slash like the Undertaker or Chris Benoit.
Yeah, Chavo is pretty stupid. I mean, if we look at the just kayfabe, apparently Mexico's still after him. I mean, he doesn't have the crew protecting him, so I mean, he's stupid enough to get a whole fucking country to want him dead.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, I don't know. Maybe his plan was like, hey, have Matanza do the dirty work and try to roll him up, even though, like,
this ain't WWE. That don't work like that.
And he hasn't left his feet. Like,
yeah.
I don't know. I don't know what Chavo was thinking here, but it doesn't matter. Standing moonsault from Matanza.
That's enough to put Chavo away.
Insane, dude. Because they did a lot of trick cinematography to make Matanza look bigger than he actually was, man. Because Jeff Cobb is not a big guy.
No, I mean, he's big, but he's not tall.
He's bulky, but he's not tall. Yeah. Let's see here. So Chavo's eliminated. So we've got Matanza, Prince Puma, and Rey Mysterio left in this match. And both of the remaining Technicos try to double team Matanza, but it's not working, dude. And Prince Puma is eventually eliminated by a German suplex. So we are down to Rey Mysterio versus Matanza to crown the 4th ever Lucha Underground champion. Rey Mysterio, again, evades, strikes where he can. Gets a hope spot, by the way, because he hits the 619, goes up top, tries to go for a Rana, but he is caught with the Wrath of the Gods. And your new Lucha Underground champion. Look forward to hearing this, folks. Spoiler alert. Matanza Cueto.
And the Temple is not happy. They were happy for Dario's return, but they are not happy with his outcome.
Yeah. Dario Cueto was like a harbinger of doom in this situation.
And I would venture as far as to say it's not good heat. It's almost X-Pac heat. Not quite.
Here's the thing. I like Jeff Cobb. I really
do.
Like, I like his work outside of here. I never liked the Matanza character. I'm going to let y'all know that right now. I think he was too OP. This is a prime example. But
and you can try to justify it with the fact that Ray was number 2 and Puma was like what, number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5,
Puma
7.
was number 7, yeah.
But it's still him stomping him on hole in 8 contestants back to back.
Yeah,
I think it was 8 or 7.
Yeah, 8.
And he is a monster, but it takes away from, they already had a monster, right?
Mm-hmm.
They actually had 2 monsters already, Cage, Mill, and if they had done Tejano better, it could have been Tejano.
Yeah.
It was something that worried me when Archer was going against Miro. If I felt it was one of those matches where if this guy loses, it's not a burial. I don't like people do go too far with that.
Yeah.
But Archer shouldn't, like you go into like, well, Archer shouldn't really lose to Miro, but Miro's new, there too, that we don't want to Miro look bad. It's that was one of those matches where I was like, well, we probably shouldn't book this, but it worked out in the end because Archer got the U.S. title. But I digress. That I think I don't know too many people that liked Matanza. I think Jeff Cobb did the best he could, and I think he did a good job.
Yeah.
It's just the character was unnecessary. The same way Dragon Azteca, didn't really, and he's good. It's one of those things where you feel bad because like this guy's good, but I I already have these other guys I like.
Yeah, no, you're right. You're right, man. Matanza, it's one of those like, well, we got to one up Mil Muertes, we got to one up Cage, so we're just gonna make him OP.
And they did. They did make him a little too much like the Fiend.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. So hey, here's the order, real quick, before we get out of here and rate the show, and then get out of here. The order of entrance in this match, just a quick recap. Number 1, Phoenix. Number 2, Rey Mysterio. Number 3, King Cuerno. Number 4, Argenis. Number 5, Johnny Mundo. Number 6, Joey Ryan. Number 7, Prince Puma. Number 8, Jack Evans. Number 9, Taya. Number 10, Cage. Number 11, Masquerita Sagrada. Number 12, Marty the Moth. Number 13, Drago. Number 14, The Mac. Number 15, Chavo Guerrero. Number 16, PJ Black. Number 17, Aerostar. Number 18, Dragon Azteca Jr. Number 19, Tejano. Number 20, Mil Muertes. And number 21, Matanza Cueto, the order of elimination. Argenis was eliminated first by Rey Mysterio. King Cuerno was eliminated second by Rey Mysterio. Johnny Mundo was eliminated third by Prince Puma. Marty the Moth was eliminated fourth by Rey Mysterio and Masquerita Sagrada. Masquerita Sagrada was eliminated fifth by Chavo Guerrero. Cage was eliminated sixth by Taya. Taya was eliminated seventh by Phoenix. Let's see here. Drago was eliminated eighth by PJ Black. By the way, I did put the Drago elimination in front of the Aerostar elimination because it's easier for me, and also because technically PJ Black got the pin first, but whatever. Number 9 would, by that logic, be Jack Evans. Where are you? Jack Evans eliminated by Aerostar. Number 10, the 10th elimination was PJ Black by Tejano. Greg, are you still there, bud?
Yes, sir.
You got a weird background sound going on.
Might be my dishwasher.
Oh, man. Number 11, the 11th elimination was Mil Muertes by Rey Mysterio. Number 12, with an assist from Pentagon Jr., of course. Phoenix was eliminated 12th by Matanza, probably the biggest shocker so far. The 13th elimination was the Mac by Matanza. Get used to hearing this. 14, Aerostar eliminated by Matanza. 15, Tejano by Matanza. 16, Joey Ryan by Matanza. 17, Dragon Azteca Jr. by Matanza. 18, Chavo Guerrero by Matanza. 19, that would be Prince Puma by Matanza. And 20, Rey Mysterio eliminated by Matanza, which means Matanza Cueto, of course, the winner, and the 4th Lucha Underground champion. That was the show, one-match show. These formats are always interesting, especially how are we going to grade them. And I'm going to let you start first, Greg. How do you grade Aztec Warfare 2, Meal's Revenge?
I give it a B. Because, even though we had some criticisms in it, legitimate ones, and some big, glaring issues that become more glaring as the season goes on because they compound. It still had amazing wrestling, and I love the Pentagon part, even though he wasn't in the match. It's like Austin. It's not the same caliber. I'm not comparing them 1-to-1, but like when Austin would like come in with a beer truck and just no match would just mess up Vince McMahon's day. It's a fun little event, and he's not going to get one for a little bit after this. I liked PJ Black's as a spot. I liked his brainbuster. It's a simple move. I like it. I like Germans. Matanza was doing great German suplexes. We had Cuerno, Phoenix, Prince Puma. This was the best Rey had looked in a while. I know he was a little beat down in his WWE run because of their schedule, but he looked like a much younger version of himself. Like he was doing some very good moves. He got thrown out and did that sliding thing where he slides out of the ring and lands on his stomach, which has just gotta fucking suck. Oh yeah. So he's sacrificing his body for this promotion that may not last another season. And we have to criticize. Like that's our role in doing a podcast. We have to tell you what's bad, what's good, what we think works, what doesn't. But it's still very enjoyable. I would definitely recommend this as a match for people to watch.
Yeah, No, this match was very good. Here's the thing. I like this format of match, be it a Royal Rumble, Battle Riot, TNA Gauntlet, or Aztec Warfare.
Mhm.
The Matanza stuff, because I'm not big on, big Hoss heels just wrecking shop over literally everyone and just being OP, kind of like the Fiend. I'm not big on that. So for that reason, this gets bumped from an A to a B plus.
Yeah, you ended up going higher than I did. I'm just going with a flat B because it's good. It's a good show. It's a good match, but it's not amazing. It's not you must watch it. It's not this is bad. This is decent. It's good. It's a good show.
But here's the thing, and my heart breaks for Phoenix here because Phoenix, by all means, was clearly a transitional champion. And to me, when you're using faces as transitional champions, it means you're relying on the heel maybe a bit too much because, it's been done before. Vince McMahon proved it in the 80s and early 90s. You can have long-running face champions and make money. It's not that hard. It's not impossible,
I mean, they did it in the first season. Puma was champion a good 75% at least of the first season.
Yeah.
And Phoenix would have been a good champion.
That Mil Muertes run was 8 weeks, but it felt a lot longer for some reason.
And I did enjoy that run for the most part. I think to add on to what you said, like that was a good heel run. Like he was a monster, but why did he beat Phoenix and Pentagon, or why did he beat Puma and Pentagon in the same match? Well, because they kept interrupting each other every time they had one.
Exactly.
He also beat someone else clean.
Yeah.
Was it Phoenix? It was Phoenix. No, it wasn't Phoenix.
Yes.
Who was it?
He beat Evilise, man.
Was there another defense?
Defense? No. He beat Evilise, Puma, and Pentagon, and then he lost to Phoenix.
Still a decent run. It's better than Matanza's.
No, it was a decent run, and we'll see what Matanza has to do to potentially one-up it. But, guys, that's the show. Thank you for listening. Join us next week when we review Season 2, Episode 10. El Jefe is back. I have an alternate title for that one that you will find out when you listen to that. We are going to record that in the next 10 minutes probably. But hey, thank you for listening. God bless you, and try to avoid Matanza Cueto, because if you don't, you may suffer grave consequences.